Imagine $1 million. It's a lot of money, right? If you spent $1 million every single day since the birth of Christ, you would not equal the amount of money that Congress spent in the last month. Nor would you equal even half the estimated $2 trillion that is to be added on to current federal debt in 2009 alone. The reason for this massive debt increase? The economy. This frantic spending is an attempt on the part of Washington to alleviate what have been deemed the worst economic times since the Great Depression. Unemployment is at 7.6%. The stock market has fallen by 47%, down to a 6-year low. And Department of Labor statistics show that Americans collecting unemployment benefits surged to 4.9 million in February, an all-time high. This data, according to economists from across the political spectrum, indicates at least one thing: the American economy is facing a crisis. Today, I'm here to discuss its cause and its solution. This isn't the first crisis we've faced. Americans have endured hardships before, many far worse, and thus far we've survived. This time need be no exception. To quote then Senator John F. Kennedy, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger, and the other represents opportunity. Already, the government's solution to unprecedented spending spells danger. But this crisis undoubtedly raises questions. What caused it, and how do we fix it? Within the answers to these questions lies the opportunity to grasp the economic blessings of liberty once more. America remains the wealthiest nation on earth. Our standard of living is the envy of the world, and the last quarter century was what Stephen Forbes refers to as an economic golden age. Even in an economy hampered by war, massive government spending, and natural disasters, Forbes notes that U.S. economic growth from 2002 to 2007 exceeded the entire size of China's economy. So where did we go wrong? Most news media tell us it has something to do with subprime mortgages, and most explanations involve greed on Wall Street. Greed on Wall Street? Well, that's shocking. Someone noted that blaming this problem on Wall Street greed is like blaming tripping and falling on gravity. Like gravity, greed is a constant, a human vice, and there hasn't been a recent fall from some ever-present virtue on Wall Street or Main Street. No, something else must have changed. As Richard Weaver notes, ideas have consequences, and this crisis itself seems to be the consequence of a rejection of one set of ideas for another, a desertion of the American tradition of rights founded upon religious principles, or the invention of new, improved rights. This newer, inventive ideology claims its virtue in engineering progress. In this instance, I would suggest it was carried out by well-intentioned lobbyists and politicians to popularize a human right to homeownership and affordable housing at the public expense. These ideals motivated action, and in 1977, Congress passed the Community Reinvestment Act and its provisions under President Clinton to implement them. This act, to quote the Hartman Institute, required lenders to provide loans to riskier clients by penalizing perceived failures to extend enough credit to less than prime borrowers. Enter the subprime mortgage market. These invented rights claim to build on the noble shoulders of property rights. Instead, they cast down a legitimate right and replace it with an abomination. They trample on the right of property. It is violated. I'm reminded of a scene from Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, where Sam and Frodo, journeying through a deserted region outside of Mordor, see a formerly great statue, an ancient king, whose once noble head was thrown down and replaced with a crude, smirking, orcish head. Here, we too witness the replacement of that noble right to private property with an invented right. While the American tradition of property emphasizes individual responsibility, toil, and just reward, this notion of affordable housing comes by coercing lending institutions into using their property to make risky loans to often unqualified clients in an effort to spread the wealth. It comes in taking taxpayers' property to sponsor huge government enterprises like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, where public monies are used to cover losses no matter how irresponsible their practices were. But all this indicates a deeper error. These invented rights that trample on that last metaphysical right of property Weaver speaks of. The social engineering of the Community Reinvestment Act and the market interventions in Fannie and Freddie, the protracted low interest rates and now increased debt and bailout spending, all stem from a fundamental, unconstrained assumption that man's nature is malleable, that the only reality is material and nominal, while transcendental rights are merely the constructs of language, and that humankind, the governments of men, may perfect itself. Is the Constitution and the ideas behind it. When we, the people, strive only for a more perfect union, we admit that James Madison and his Judeo-Christian precepts are right. Men are not angels. They will not be made into angels, nor will government officials be angels, and nor will Wall Street brokers be angels. And that therefore both citizens and governments alike must be restrained, not perfected. The Constitution does this by specifically enumerating powers limited by a Bill of Rights, while at the same time making provision for those necessary and proper regulations to facilitate honest commerce between men. The constitutional ideal holds that rights cannot be invented, that in the words of Dr. Edwin Foner, president of the Heritage Foundation, the real rights of man are rooted in tradition, custom, and faith, that they are informed by a religious inheritance endowed by God, and are to be protected by the rule of law instead of the rule of man. These laws, to quote James Fenimore Cooper in The American Democrat, though varying with circumstances, possess a common character, being formed on that consciousness of right which God bestows so that men may judge between good and evil. And this is the triumph of the Constitution, and the solution to our economic problems in the current crisis. The proof of the Constitution's triumph? Well, to quote Jack Parr, immigration is the sincerest form of flattery. There's a reason that millions flock to our shores yearning to breathe freedom. President Abraham Lincoln hit upon that reason when writing about America's great wealth. He said, without the Constitution and the Union, we could not have attained the result. But even these are not the primary cause of our great prosperity. There's something that is entwining itself more closely about the human heart. That something is the principle of liberty to all. The principle which clears the path for all, gives hope to all, and by consequence, enterprise and industry to all. By reckoning, as Edmund Burke does, restraints on men as well as their liberties. Among Americans' constitutional rights, we hold in balance and check the passions of citizens and the encroachments of tyranny alike, so that liberty may truly give hope to all, out of a testament to our faith. And as a consequence, industry and enterprise have blossomed into the great prosperity that we've enjoyed for so long. If liberty and enterprise may flourish, then industry and its accompanying prosperity must eventually follow. Yet we reign in crisis. The debt grows larger still. As Thomas Jefferson said, I place debt is the greatest of dangers to be feared. And as King Solomon reminds us, debt is an antithesis to liberty, for the borrower is servant to the lender. However, amid the crisis remains our great opportunity. Just as the mounting political and economic turmoil in the 13 independent colonies, with their massive war debt and debased currency, gave rise to the opportunity for ideas to emerge in the Constitution Convention that truly preserved liberty to all. Now that we understand the cause of this crisis in wrong ideas, and its solution in the Constitution, we too may take up our founder's mantle. The truth behind constitutionalism is our sword. Understanding may be our shining shield. That is, if we are willing. This is no easy task. The road ahead is likely to be as long as that traveled by Frodo and Sam to depart of the world. But if we are willing, if we will put our shoulders to the load, if we will see those older ideas and their good economic consequences, if we will educate ourselves on them, if we will educate others of them, then we can begin the task of restoration. A restoration of not only our economic prosperity, but of the principles that allowed our economy to thrive in the first place. It begins here. If we will but resolve to be first ourselves, the custodians of liberty, then we, the people, in order to make our union more perfect, can reestablish this Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you, and may God bless you.